I, 55 female, have been raising my daughter, Sarah's 34 female, child for almost her whole life. Emma, teen female, is an amazing young woman who's made me incredibly proud. For some background info, Sarah got pregnant at the beginning of her freshman year of college at age 18. She decided to keep the baby. She was still living at home, so of course I helped her. My daughter wasn't really a present mother. She, despite my urging for her to take time off, went back to school a week after giving birth and went back to work a week after that. She pumped so I could bottle and formula feed Emma immediately after birth. Sarah wouldn't get up at night to care for Emma because she needed her sleep, so I did all the night feedings and changes. Emma was left home with me while Sarah went to school and work and attended everything I needed to attend. Sarah would come home and care for Emma for an hour or two and then go to bed. When Emma was a toddler, Sarah and her boyfriend got a small apartment closer to campus. I assumed that my time raising Emma was over. Sarah was putting Emma in daycare for about 3 weeks before she asked to just leave Emma with me during the weekdays and take her on the weekends. So until Emma was pre-tween, she spent Monday through Thursday with me and the weekends with Sarah and her dad, who was in and out of the picture. When Emma was pre-tween, Sarah moved back into my house and took a slightly more present role. But it was obvious she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't care to follow the routine Emma and I had set years before and couldn't understand why Emma was struggling. She knew very little about Emma's likes and dislikes and didn't know much about raising children. Within a few months, she stopped making nearly as much effort, and I took back over as Emma's main caretaker. When Emma was tween, Sarah moved back out with a new boyfriend, this time leaving Emma with me entirely and only coming to get her on the weekends. She took a job that worked weekends and weeknights, and for 5 years, Emma lived with me full-time, only spending nights with her mom in the form of sleepovers and an occasional weekend. When Emma was a young teen, my daughter got a job with a 9-to-5 schedule. She started picking her up after sports and activities to spend the evening and having Emma come over on the weekends. A year ago, my daughter moved into a house that's in a neighborhood of a very prestigious private school for girls. Emma's now a teen and has gone to the same school since kindergarten and has just started her junior year. Last week, during a family dinner at my house, my daughter announced to the family, myself, Emma, Sarah, my 3 sons, my daughters-in-law, and my other grandkids, that she was so grateful for the help that I've given her with Emma, but since she was doing so good, it's time to take her back. Emma would be going to live with her full-time. She'd be enrolling her in the private school, and it was all possible thanks to me. I asked if I could speak with her privately, and she said no. So at the table, I told her that that wasn't a good idea and that it wouldn't be good for Emma. She's lived her whole life with me. Taking her away would be damaging. Sarah said that I had no right to tell her what was best for Emma, since she was her mother. I told her that being a mother doesn't mean she raised her daughter, and that I know what's best for Emma. Sarah left in a huff and told me she'd come back to discuss the details, but then called me later, yelling at me for undermining her parenting, saying I had no right to say that, and that I was stepping on her toes. After my daughter left, my sons told me that I should have been more sensitive to Sarah while I was in the right. I really don't think she deserved any more sensitivity. Sarah chose a career over raising her daughter. Nobody pushed her to keep a baby, and nobody pushed her to pursue her career. And even when school and work permitted, she put very little effort into Emma. My daughter never actively tried to bond with Emma as a parent should, and she never took an interest in her life beyond her allergies and soccer schedule. They don't talk despite Emma spending years trying to connect with her. She can't answer any basic questions about Emma and treats her like a small child rather than the adult she is. I did all of the child rearing. I raised her as my own baby. She grew up in my home just like my own children did years before her. She had constant stability with me, and it's unfair for her mother to come in her teen years too late and decide she knows best, decide to remove her from the home she's lived in since birth, away from the school and friends she's had since kindergarten, remove her from the person who raised her. My daughter is extremely angry at me and is accusing me of turning her daughter against her because Emma refuses to go with her. Am I the idiot? Edit to add, Sarah was never an addict or anything. She was just very career-driven. I never held anything over her head or forced her to move out or in, and I always stepped back when she wanted to be more involved. I've never spoken badly about Sarah to Emma, but Emma's always been upset that Sarah's made so little of an effort to be a part of her life. Her father's not in the picture, and my husband has passed on. Emma does not want to go with Sarah. She's expressed to me and both her private and family therapist that she doesn't consider Sarah a mother and doesn't want to have that kind of relationship with her anymore. Emma has struggled for years, not understanding why her mom doesn't want her and why her cousins don't have the same thing. She has a very tense relationship with her mother. Despite Sarah's recent attempts, she very rarely spends time with her mother willingly. There was never any legal work done regarding Emma. My daughter doesn't pay child support, and there were no court orders as far as who has her and when. It's always been when it's convenient for my daughter. Not the idiot. Let's call a spade here. Your daughter was a deadbeat parent. Was she paying you all those years to raise her kid? My guess is no. She just dumped and ran when she didn't want to play mommy, and now she's hurt that her daughter doesn't want to play house with her. Well, that's on her. She doesn't get to sweep in now that Emma's almost an adult and suddenly decides to be a mom. This may have been Sarah's plan all along, though. The problem here is the mom actually has default custody by law. OP will have to go to court. She has a strong case, but it may cost money to make it. Also, it sounds like the daughter has plenty of money now, but not sure about grandma, as she's been raising this kid with no support. Bio-parent rights are pretty strong in the law, and OP could get outlawed. I see this as everyone's the idiot here. OP's daughter is totally wrong for pretty much neglecting Emma for years, and now wants to sweep on after the work is done. However, OP failed by not taking her to court, getting child support, and allowing her daughter to use her as a free caretaker. Time to get a lawyer and make your guardianship legal. So my 26 male, brother 24, has been living with me for the past year. He lost his job during the pandemic and couldn't afford rent, so I let him stay with me rent-free until he got back on his feet. At first I didn't mind because he was really struggling, but over time, it became clear that he really wasn't trying to get another job. He just stayed home, played video games, and didn't contribute to any household expenses. About a month ago, he got a windfall of $20,000. I thought this would be the turning point where he'd start helping, or at least offer to pay me back for some of the bills. But when I brought it up, he told me that the money was his, and he wanted to save it for more important things. I was shocked. I told him it wasn't fair for him to live rent-free while sitting on that much cash, mainly since I've been covering all the bills and rent without ever asking for a dime. I asked him to start paying a reasonable rent, and he blew up, saying I was greedy and trying to take advantage of him. I told him if he couldn't contribute anything, he'd need to move out. After a few days of arguing, I finally gave him a deadline to leave. Now he's calling me an idiot for choosing money over family. A few relatives are saying that I should have just let him stay a little longer. I feel bad, but I also feel like he's been taking advantage of me. Am I the idiot for kicking him out? Not the idiot. He is taking advantage of you, not the other way around. Come up with a schedule of family members who'll take him in, aka those calling you an idiot. Just be like, okay, so I can tell my brother you're willing to host him? I'll send him right over. Watch how fast attitudes will change. What a crybaby. By the way, your loser brother has flames coming out of his nether regions. The stunning logic of you taking advantage of him and his windfall being greedy is beyond breathtaking. Did no one point out that he had been taking advantage of you for the last year by living in your home, eating your food, using your water and electricity, basically having a safe roof over his ungrateful head, and the only greedy person here is him. So greedy that he can't even see that he's not entitled to go swanning through life on your dime. I'd kick him out for sheer ingratitude. Let him find some sucker that'll believe his sob story about how greedy you are until they figure out the truth. I am pretty confused about this and self-conscious about asking anyone. I recently started work at a large financial firm on the East Coast. Everyone dresses well, and the dress code is business professional. A lot of the women wear heels. I do it because it's a really easy way to make you look more dressed up. My go-to heels are pretty standard and boring, lol. They're basically all the same pumps, but in different colors that aren't too tall and comfortable to walk in. Anyway, I made a new friend at work named Casey, and I noticed that she would make a face whenever we walked together down the hallway. A few weeks ago, she started power walking ahead of me, saying, "OMG, I'm too embarrassed to be walking with you. And you sound like a horse stomping," because of my heels clicking on the tiles. Since then, I've been self-conscious and embarrassed whenever I hear my heels tapping through the hallway. I still wear them occasionally, but I've been feeling uncomfortable whenever Casey gives me that look, and she really does seem genuinely bothered. The only reason I feel prompted to ask is because I recently experienced another incident where I ran into an acquaintance and coworker in line for coffee with another coworker. The first coworker, without looking at me, commented to the other person about how she doesn't understand how some people just wear heels all the time. And maybe the Casey thing is making me hyper-focused on this, but it seemed pointed at me. Both of these coworkers were wearing sneakers, and I was the only one in heels. Am I the idiot for continuing to wear them, even though it seems to be bothering some coworkers? Should I stop? Am I committing some kind of faux pas? I'm confused because there are hundreds of employees and many other women who wear heels too. I also don't see Casey or the other coworker too often because we're all on different floors. But I don't mean to make anyone uncomfortable either. What does Casey want you to do? Should you wear slippers? Who can't walk next to someone who's making a noise? What a weirdo. Not the idiot. Buy a pair of bright red heels and wear them every Friday. Casey is a, quote, friend, not a friend. I wear heels, and recently someone commented on the noise when I walked down the tiled hall. I literally laughed and said, "I know, I'll start neighing soon." We both laughed and moved on. Own it, OP. Screw the haters. They're irrelevant. Honestly, it sounds like Casey is just protecting her own insecurities and trying to drag you down. If you like wearing heels and they fit the dress code, just keep rocking them. There will always be someone with something to say, so focus on what makes you feel confident. And remember to click those heels, saying there's no place like home. You know what? There's no sound I find more empowering than the clack, clack, clack of heels on the tile floor or a fancy office building foyer. I absolutely love it, and it's honestly one of the things I've actually missed since going fully remote. That clack let me and the world know that I'm a badass business witch who's about to go nail that presentation with leadership today. I think it's kind of about taking up space and being loud and direct and not making yourself small and invisible. I'm here, and you're going to know it's me, and I'm in charge. We're so socialized as women to not be disruptive, and that clack pushes that boundary. I, 26 female, do kid outings with my kids and my nieces and nephews on occasion. I don't take them all together. I break it up by family. So my older sister's kids and mine, then my middle sister's kids, and then my sister-in-law, husband's sister, and I've tried to include my brother's kids. But my brother's kids are proving to be a problem for me, especially with the complaints from my brother's wife. So, my brother's oldest is his stepdaughter. He's been raising her from preschool age with his wife, and after 4 years of marriage, they also have a young toddler together. She isn't treated any differently than any other nieces and nephews, but her behavior is too much for me, even when I can kind of manage my decisions on how to cause problems. She's more demanding and will argue to get me to buy her a toy or tantrums when told no. So I can avoid going near stores where she could see something in the window. But the problem is, I'll have them for enough hours for food to get involved, and this is where my biggest problem remains. She'll order more food than she can eat, and if I say she needs to order less, or can get more if she's still hungry, she'll sneak up and try to order more. If it's a place that doesn't offer fast food, she'll ask for dessert and not lunch or dinner. If I say no, she screams. So I stopped having her as long, or I'd time it when I wouldn't need to buy her food. But my brother's wife didn't like that. She told me I feed all the other kids, I should feed hers. Then she got angry that I refused to spend money on whatever she wanted me to order. I told her that that's a lot of waste, both food and money. She told me it's not her problem. I told her I don't want it to be mine either. My brother told me I shouldn't treat her any differently, and it's only going to cause more problems. I told him I didn't enjoy this, but she didn't respect being told no or being asked to wait. The crap I got from my brother's wife built until I was like, okay, I'm done. I can't win here. But now she's complaining because I don't take their kids on these outings. She told me I'm playing favorites with blood, even though the toddler is blood, and I'm not asking to just take them. I told her I wouldn't take them in the conditions they expected me to meet. Am I the idiot? Edit. Some examples of the food she demands. McDonald's order. She'll ask for 50-piece nuggets, large fries, a deluxe quarter pounder with cheese, and 2 shakes with 2 ice creams. Local pizza place. Her own large pizza, pasta bites, cheese bites, and garlic breadsticks with a shared dessert. This is a dessert usually meant for 4. Sushi place. 4 sushi platters, 2 different kinds of fried rice, a big dessert with 2 to 3 drinks. It's not that she'll even eat all that. It goes to waste and the money is spent on it, but they don't want to pay. She feels like it should be more on me since I pay for the other kids, but they don't order more than they can eat. Holy cow! A preteen-year-old wants a quarter pounder, 50 nugs, 2 shakes, and fries? Something's going on at home. There has to be. I have no idea what, but there has to be a reason she's feeling food insecure. Does she hoard food when it's a home-cooked meal? Or is it only the restaurant or fast food? Is she overweight? That's a ridiculous amount of food. Not the idiot. If your sister-in-law wants your kid to eat more than the other kids, she should pay the difference herself instead of imposing that burden on you. You're not obligated to parent your brother's kids. Your sister-in-law does realize that you pay for what the other kids eat, so I assume it's like a $4 Happy Meal and not $52 worth of McDonald's that'll end up in the trash, right? I love that she says, not my problem, and that you must deal with her child's behavioral problems. What the heck? That is not an okay order for one child or one adult. That's to feed a family. The idea of a full-size large pizza and garlic bread and multiple desserts, or there'll be a massive meltdown screaming tantrum, is a heck no for any thinking anybody. Your brother and his wife need to get a handle on this, or that kid will have some truly miserable times in her school life. If your brother can't get on board with your issue here, maybe he could be a wingman on an outing with you and see how other kids deal with reasonable limits.